której legła pod własnymi gruzami. Jeśli się nie pamięta, że pod tymi samymi gruzami legł również Chrystus Zbawiciel ze swoim krzyżem sprzed kościoła na krakowskim przedmieściu. Nie sposób zrozumieć dziejów Polski od Stanisława na skałę do Maksymiliana Oświęcimiu.
So we began. The Uprising Museum. This was the room of the little insurgents. Children played a big role. Models of aircrafts that inflict horrible damages. Such a waste of human life. Bless their hearts, I tell you. Enormous sacrifices. All about survival. Here you have a bit of history. 1st September 1939, the Third Reich, acting in accordance with the Molotov Act, attacked Poland by land, sea and air. The absolute correct word here is terror. This is exactly this zone where we are standing now, which was known as the Ghetto. WR. Warsaw was excluded from Operation Tempest until July, when the international situation changed. 21st of July, General Tadeusz Komorowski informed the Commander-in-Chief that the state of alert to be declared starting the 25th of July. Moscow announced that the Polish Committee of National Liberation was established.
I oczywiście od rana zaczęliśmy budować barykady.
W nocy zjawił się ktoś na podwórku, no i donośnym głosem wzywał mężczyzn do budowania barykady. No oczywiście wszyscy miejsca pobierali, skoczyli.
And of course the printing presses that were used to distribute and inform the people actually what was going on. And of course, insurgent memorabilia. And here we have a bomber. I hope you can see a little bit because it's very dark. But it is the reality of the horror of war. Very sadly, the city of ruins, completely flattened, which very sadly we're seeing again, which I think is an absolute embarrassment to humanity. And in the museum of the Polish uprising, Powstania Warszawskiego, they have a chapel where they actually do have masses in remembrance of the sacrifice. Very brave woman, Janina Róża, a painter. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Very sad. The birth of the scandal. People responsible for the death of millions. What should I do with civilians? I have more prisoners than ammunition. Horrible. Shame on you. Sadly, they went house by house and street by street. Systematically. Sani welcomes you to the Muzeum Wojska Polskiego, the National War Museum here in Warsaw. Let's go and have a look at some planes, etc. And here we have our first tank. It's a Czech tank called an IS-2, 1943. 4 people, 46 tons, 37 kilometers an hour with a maximum range of 240 kilometers, having a howitzer gun. Next door we have a half track, as they're known. A lightweight motorized Gunt 48. 5 people would man it, 9.53 tons, 72 kilometers an hour top speed, 320 kilometer an hour range. This is all at the Muzeum Wojska Polskiego, the Polish War Museum, just by the Most Poniatowski, the Poniatowski Bridge in central Warsaw. Of course, the old fighter jets. This is a MiG-21, weighs 8,500 kilograms, maximum speed of 2.1. And they're pretty big aircrafts, if you ask me, just standing next to them. Larger than I imagined. Imagine how much thrust comes out of these twin jet engines. Let's continue. This is, they call it samolot szkoleniowego, a training aircraft. Call it TS-11 Iskra, which is actually a Polish fighter jet, which is a training jet. Next door you have the Republic of Poland, which would have been a private aircraft used by the government. It's called Yakovlek Yak-40. Let's have a look. There you go. Have a look. And here, next door, it's a transport aircraft called an AN-26, weighing 16,000 kilograms. Of course, and of course, some cannons. All absolutely lethal. And helicopters. Here is a Śmigłowiec helicopter, Mi-24D. So effectively a gunship. It weighs 8,300 kilograms approximately. Maximum speed of 335 kilometers an hour. And a range of 1,125 kilometers. It can stay in the air up to 2 hours and 35 minutes and requires a team of 3 people, minimum 2 to 3 people to operate. Another helicopter, it's a multi-function helicopter, an Mi-2P. Maximum range 270 to 350 kilometers with a maximum speed of 210 kilometers an hour. These are all multi-functions, or multifunctional, as they would say. And this is all at the National War Museum, or just next to the National War Museum here in Warsaw. Right in the town centre, literally a few minutes walk from Nowy Świat. And you have a beautiful park that's just underneath it. Some rockets, an SA-2. It weighs 2,300 kilograms. It can travel at 885 meters a second. Unreal. I wouldn't fancy seeing that. This one is an Elbrus 9K72. .650-kilometer range the actual truck would have at maximum speed of 60 kilometers an hour. And next to him is a 9K51 rocket launcher. All-track vehicle. And the famous Star. Handy Sandy's grandfather was actually an engineer who developed the engine for one of the first Stars back in the 1940s and 50s, or 50s really. Here we have some older fighter planes. For example, this is a fighter plane called a Yak or Jack 9P. Here's some information. Some anti-aircraft guns. A bomber, twin engines, called a Tu-25. Pretty dangerous stuff. They effectively look like fighter bombers. This particular one is a PE-2FT dive bomber. They fly at 8,800 meters with a maximum range of about 1,300 kilometers, holding about 1,000 kilograms of armaments, or bombs, should we say. And more tanks. Probably the preferred choice in any attack. A T-55 medium tank. Amazing, they could do 500 kilometers in one tank of juice. Maximum speed of 50 kilometers an hour. 100mm gun. Here we have what looks like an amphibious. It is indeed a PT-76 amphibious with a crew of 3, 14 tons in weight. 240 horsepower V6 with a maximum speed of 44 kilometers an hour, 240 kilometer range, and whilst amphibious it could manage up to 10 kilometers an hour. Another medium tank is the T-34 with an 85mm. Probably one of the most famous tanks. Well, apart from maybe the Panthers, but still very famous. And the Shermans, etc. Next we have another motorized howitzer, 122mm. Amazing, they get these chunks of metal to go 60 kilometers an hour with a 500-mile range, and we're talking about, this is quite antiquated equipment. Here is another motorized howitzer. Here's an armoured personnel carrier to carry troops around, but also managing 60 kilometers an hour and over 500 kilometers of range. Here we have a also amphibious wheeled personnel carrier. Next to him, again amphibious, a BRDM armoured reconnaissance vehicle. Small gun, 12mm, top speed of up to 90 kilometers an hour with a range of 500, but still managing 8-9 kilometers an hour in water. A further amphibious vehicle, but this time with wheels, range of 750 kilometers and managing up to 100 kilometers an hour. Here is another wheeled personnel carrier, and finally one of the most famous designs, I think they call it the Duck, the BAV ZIL 485 amphibious. And no mercy was shown by the occupiers, invaders. Their fight is your fight. Their fight is your freedom. And this was 1944. Again. 80 years later, the same atrocities. They called it Miasto Grobów, a city of graves. Beyond sadness. And then comes another horror. In the shape of the Soviet Union and very, very hard communism with a favor of rebuilding. Sadly, not quite the truth.
Kształtuje świadomość historyczną młodych pokoleń. Jego oddziaływanie jest tym mocniejsze, że jak na ówczesne czasy jest sprawnie zrealizowany oraz grają w nim znakomici aktorzy.
Let's move along. Hello Helka. A novelia for paper and war. They're called paper dolls. 500 original paper dolls were created. horrible weapons. Mleko dla dzieci. Milk for children. Wartime. Another zone in Warsaw completely flattened. Everything completely flattened. With exits up to the streets.
Powiedziałem, Mein Führer, chwila jest trudna. Z historycznego punktu widzenia czyn Polaków jest błogosławieństwem. Pokonamy ich w ciągu 5-6 tygodni.
Małymi kotwicami lub sztangami. W ten sposób starał się przekierować nosiciela na inny tor jazdy. Kompania przeprowadziła następujące ataki goliatami. Pierwszy. 11 sierpnia 1944 roku w ramach grupy bojowej Kamińskiego w zachodniej części Warszawy na rogu Wawelskiej i Werzikstrasse użyto 12 nosicieli ładunków. Narożny dom silnie umocniony jako oporu został przygotowany do szturmu przy użyciu 4 nosicieli ładunków, a następnie opanowany przez nacierających saperów. Kolejnych 8 goliatów
Radio control
fabryką tytoniu Machorka
to take out the enemy's tanks.
oporu powstańców. Przy pomocy 2 goliatów przebito się przez okalający ją mur, a dalsze 6 goliatów zostało użytych przeciwko samemu budynkowi fabryki. Podczas akcji zburzono front budynku i w ten sposób wyeliminowano z walki strzelców wyborowych i czujki nieprzyjaciela.
And here we have Kubusz. A replica of a very, simply made tank, or should we say armoured vehicle. Imagine these people, the brave Polish people, had to defend themselves against these mighty tanks that the Germans had built. Really just respect and honour. And here we have the main entrance to the ghetto. Let's see what's over the wall. Very sad what happened. This is the ghetto that was all filmed. Schindler's List. Original rules for the ghetto. Horrific. Ulica Grzybowska. And this is it. Horrific, really. But left in memory. Very sad. Very, very sad. We'll leave it at that. So, on the corner of Ulica Grzybowska and Żelazna. Grzybowska, Grzyb means mushroom, Żelazna means metal or steel.
Za mną! Marsz!